Welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to dig into something that I think we've all felt, and it's super frustrating. Why is it that the harder we try to force something, the more it just seems to slip away? We're going to explore an ancient secret to getting things done effortlessly. I mean, really think about it. Have you ever laid in bed just trying so hard to fall asleep? Or maybe you're at a party and you're consciously trying to be witty and charming. What happens? It almost never works, right? The more you strain, the further away that goal gets. Look, if this happens to you, it's not some kind of personal flaw. It's actually a fundamental puzzle of how our minds are wired. It's often called the paradox of effort, and it's this deep tension that thinkers have been wrestling with for literally thousands of years. It's just part of being human. So, is there a way out of this trap? You bet. It turns out ancient Chinese philosophers were way ahead of us. They didn't just point out the problem, they actually came up with a really powerful solution. And they had a name for it, Wu-Wei. Now let's be clear, this doesn't mean being lazy or just doing nothing. Not at all. It's actually the complete opposite. It's a state of peak performance, of perfect action, where everything you do just flows naturally, without any of that internal fight. You know this feeling, for sure. It's that athlete who's just completely in the zone, or a musician who's so lost in the music they're not even thinking about the notes anymore. Their fingers just know what to do. That feeling of perfect unforced flow is Wu-Wei. So how did these ancient thinkers even wrap their heads around something so abstract? I mean, effortless action? What does that even mean? Well, according to the scholar Edward Slingerland, they did it the same way you and I understand complex ideas every single day, through metaphor. Okay, so here's the first big idea they used. Picture this. Yourself is a container. Sounds simple, right? But this one little idea cracks open two totally different ways to get to that state of Wu-Wei. And why is this metaphor so powerful? Because we've all felt this, haven't we? This inner split. You know, there's the conscious I that wants to get up early and go to the gym, and then there's the myself that has to be dragged out of bed. We're constantly trying to manage ourselves. And this is where things get really interesting, because that one metaphor leads to two completely different game plans. On one side, you've got the Confucians. Their whole thing was you gotta fill that container. You consciously shape yourself. You study, you practice rituals, you build up virtue piece by piece. But then you have the Taoists, and they said, nope, you've got it all backward. Their path was to empty the container, let go of all that striving, that ego, and just uncover the awesome, natural self that's already in there. All right, metaphor number 2. This one is so common, we use it all the time, and probably don't even give it a second thought. It's the idea that a purposeful life is a journey. And I mean, it is everywhere in our language, right? We talk about being at a crossroads, or feeling stuck in a dead-end job, or that we're not getting anywhere. These aren't just cute phrases. They actually show how we're hardwired to think. Goals become destinations. Problems become roadblocks. But Wu-Wei comes in and flips this whole journey idea on its head. It asks, what if you don't have to force your way down the path? What if, instead of bulldozing through, you could just flow with it? It's about tapping into the natural currents of a situation and moving with them. Okay, so this is where it can feel a little confusing. Do you try or not try? Do you fill the container or empty it? It feels like a total contradiction. But the real secret, the real wisdom, is seeing how they're not opposites at all. They're actually two sides of the same coin. And here is the absolute key to the whole thing. You don't just wake up one day and find Wu-Wei. That effortless performance, it's the result of a ton of conscious, dedicated practice. It's all that hard work, all that effort that eventually gets so baked into who you are that it becomes second nature. You know, Confucius himself laid out his whole life just like this. It's amazing. He said at 15 he was all about learning, but it took him decades of that conscious effort of studying and practicing until finally at age 70, he got there. He reached that ultimate state where he could just follow his heart and it would always effortlessly be the right thing to do. A later philosopher, Juicy, put it so well. He said the whole point of all that training was to get to a place where you're hitting the mean without effort. Basically doing the perfect thing at the perfect time without even having to think about it. Just pure, spontaneous rightness. So, let's wrap this up. The big takeaway here isn't don't try. It's about trying smarter. It's about understanding what all that effort is really for. It's for building a foundation so deep and so strong that eventually something truly masterful and effortless can just emerge. And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? In our world, a world that is always yelling at us to hustle more, to try harder, where in your own life could you maybe achieve more by learning how to eventually try less? Thanks for joining this explainer.